What's up, Playground? It's me, Shanila, and welcome to your energy read of 2024. Now, by the time I'm recording this, it's still the beginning of November, so we have a couple of weeks to wrap up 2023 and see what the rest of the year brings us. But the energy of the year starts to shift big time right around this time of year. And maybe you already feel it. You know, the seasonal changes, the daylight, the amount of sunshine, the routines are shifting, your sleep, your digestion, your mood, your emotions, your social battery, your motivation, everything is shifting all at once, and it can feel overwhelming and it can actually put us into a panic energy. But that's kind of why we're having this conversation, so that we can be intentional about the type of energy that 2024 is bringing us, and also how to actually use that energy going into that next year. Now, another thing that's worth mentioning is around this time of year tends to be a very reflective time, an introspection time, whether you're doing it on purpose or you're not. It's like you kind of look back into the rest of the year and you're like, am I satisfied? Am I dissatisfied? Am I, disappointed? Am I grateful? You're subconsciously kind of reflecting in the back of the mind. And this can do one of two things, which is like you could be really proud of yourself, or it could actually put you into like this hyper panic energy where you're like, oh, I only got 30 days left of the year. I got 60 days left of the year. I got to do this. And, I set this New Year's resolution for myself and I got to check this off the box. And then I got to be new year, new me next year. And then the resolutions I got to do for next year and manifest and vision boards. And then you're bringing this panic energy into this next year and it just carries forth over and over again. And so you need to take a nice deep breath into your nose and then go ahead and exhale to your mouth. And come back down here. We got to talk about what the energy of 2024 is bringing us and how we can be intentional about it. So, firstly, there's two ways to think about years. One is the made-up way, which is, the calendar system that we use. We have a Gregorian calendar, which ends in December 31st, and that is an initiation of a new year. But also seasonally, cyclically, the new year starts on the spring equinox, which is in March. So your seasons actually are more aligned to that one rather than this one. But the energy of 2024 that we're talking about is going to apply to both. So, anytime that we've ever talked about energy, and, I've been coming here giving you energy forecast for a few years now on the podcast, The Playground. And anytime we talk about energy, I'm always encouraging you to use your own introspection, use your own intuition, because, sometimes it helps that somebody else says it to you and you're like, oh, that girl said it, so like I relate. And sometimes you just need to hear it in a different way. And absolutely, that's true. But other times it's like you already know how things are shifting. Things are changing in your personal life. Things are changing in the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you respond. And it's worthwhile to do a little introspection on your own to see if you're also riding the same wavelength that we're talking about here, right? Now, to talk about 2024 is also to mention that 2021, 22, 23 were also kind of this like cycle, the cyclical years that led up to where we are right now. As is always, to 2020, 21, 22, 23, everything is like compounded, no year like exists without the other. But this year, the word that I'm going to give you, or more so the phrase that I'm going to give you, is human connection. Yeah, it's human connection. And I think you may have already been feeling that. Like the energy for this next year is really about making more connections that are feeling more genuine and authentic. That's for you to decide what it means, like what is genuine and what is authentic, but kind of what it means. You know what it means to you, and it's going to be important for you to pursue those things this year. So we've been kind of in this like virtual online digital space for a couple of years. Not every single person, but for the most part, like attention has been going into the internet and into AI, into ChatGPT, and all these different, technological advances that have been happening. And now we're going to start to see this shift in 2024 where we're wanting to be with people, like human people who like laugh and like crackle and tell silly jokes and like, aren't like most presented all the time and like are not this like brand presentation and not like put together in like some cohesive way, just like people who are people, and we're going to come back to the simplicity of just like being able to hang out with people, to create community in that kind of way without the pretenses of like, oh, what does she want from me, or what does he want from me, or what us that, what does this person want, we're going to start to come closer to that energy, this energy of human connection. Now, it's not that we've been without human connection, because that's not true. And we have been doing our best to connect, whether it's virtually or online or through podcasts or through, digital social media, or through, there's online that is very beautiful as a tool and as a resource, but we're going to start to kind of move away from the online only thing and be more so on the spectrum of the human in-person kind of stuff. Now, whatever that means to you, whether it's you're already very much in person, but perhaps it's you spend less time on digital stuff, or you spend less time creating things that are more online. You start to do more things that are in person, community gatherings. You start to host things, or you start to, develop a different social energy to go to other people's things. There's going to be a more uprise of that happening in 2024. And a part of it is we saw a lot of collective dissociation happening in especially 2022 and 2023, and especially 2020, where a lot of people were talking so much in dissociative language of star seeds and 5D and this thing and that thing, and very conspiracy, very over there. And all of those things, while those things are fun to explore and experiment with, oftentimes are ways that people dissociate not being human. They have such a problem of existing in the world with with all the spectrum of the things that happen in the world, good and bad, positive and negative, things that are scary and things that are violent, and all the beautiful things that are to experience. Sometimes we have such a fear of experiencing things that are uncomfortable and things that make us uncomfortable, that we would rather dissociate. So there is healthy dissociation where you can be caught up in your book, or you be caught up in a story, or you're caught up in a project that you're really interested in. There's healthy ways that there's ways to dissociate it that aren't unhealthy. They have positive outcomes from that, but there's also ways to dissociate that made us very disconnected from each other. It made us so that we don't really know how to talk to each other, we don't know how to communicate with each other, we don't really know how to coexist with people who have different thought processes or different mindsets or different ways of thinking or ways of living. And instead of finding common ground and finding the overlap between each other, we tend to categorize them as us and them. We categorize oh, you're over there and I'm over here, and you're over, you're this, and I'm over that. And all of these kind of separations, even if it is something that our human mind desires, our human mind does desire to put things into category. In psychology, they're called schemas. It basically just is an easier way for us to think about something when we can think about it as a stereotype, or we can think about it in terms of an easily categorizable thing. It's an actual thing in your mind, your neural pathways that work that way. However, it's gotten so far to the extreme where we're not able to relate to each other anymore, and it's I can only relate to the people who are like me, and I just cannot even fathom a conversation with you, or I can't even have discourse with you, or I can't even listen, or I can't even speak or articulate the thing that I want to be, I want to express. I can't even do that because I'm so riled up, I'm so angry, or I'm emotional not in a negative way, not emotional oh, you're so emotional in a way that is taking over your body. We can't be rational anymore. So 2024 is going to see a shift, and there might be ebbs and flow, as with anything, and every prediction that I've given you in 2020, 21, 22, 23, it has been true, So when you're talking about 2024, it's this desire for people to come and be human with each other again. It's can we quit it? Can we cut the shit? Can we get along? Can we find a way to create unity? And that seems very kumbaya, very idealistic to say, but that is going to be the start of where we start to see the shift in people making an effort. So all the people who have been dissociating, and maybe that's you, maybe that's me, maybe maybe it's been you sometimes and not sometimes, whatever. Nobody's pointing fingers here. We're going to see the people who have been making a lot of dissociation and making a lot of separation in terms of, not really wanting to deal with human emotions and humanity and just like life and death, because that stuff is scary and that stuff is uncomfortable. They're gonna start to come down just a little bit, right? So and that's a choice too, because some people won't, like they'll keep going further on that side, and there's gonna be people who are gonna come back down onto earth. So this human connection, I really love for you to reflect on like what that means for you, because it's gonna mean something different, and I'm always like, yeah, there's a word, but it looks different for all of us. For some people, it's like, I'm going to go all in and just be like all with people all the time. And I'm going to be in my activism, and I'm going to be, hosting things in person. I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing that. But that natural connection, and maybe you're like old enough to know that, remember when you were a kid and you could just like play outside, and you just went outside and you made friends, and like you were like riding your bike around. I remember my little friend Andrea, we used to like ride our bikes in the neighborhood, and then these kids from that place, and even though that is still true, it's not, because we are in a society that has like a lot of extra things to worry about, and we have just like a lot of like extra layers of like worries. It has separated that like quick connection within each other. It has separated it has created this inability to just like make friends and just be like ha ha, and not have it be like a presentation. So human connection, I'll define this for you, like, and I'm just, channeling for you here. My idea of human connection is the ability to just feel and be seen, for all the ways that I'm great and all the ways that I'm flawed and all the ways that I'm just like a simple human, and so the presentation that we have a lot of times, it's like, oh, I have to, tell everybody my resume, and I have to tell everybody like all the things that I accomplished, or my salary, or this and that. And it's like, yeah, there's a time and a place for that, I guess, but it's like so far on that extreme that it's like, but who are you? Like who are you when nobody's watching? And can I hang out with you? Like, are you completely intolerable, or do you have this ability to like, get along with people even if you don't agree with every single thing that they believe in, unless it's like absolutely disgusting, like you don't have to agree with every single thing that they believe in, or that they do, or who they are, or their upbringing, because all of us have a past, and all of us have a way that we are, all of us have a way that made us the way that we are in this present moment. So if you have flaws, be willing to see that in other people, and be willing to like have a little bit of humility around like you like not knowing everything. So for me, that human connection is just like, can you see me for who I am, and can I also like experience you for who you are, and it's like those moments with like your best friends, or like people that you get along with like really well. You look at them and you're just like, this chick is weird as fuck, like I love her, like that's the energy. Like I want to see that part of people, and just like how they are goofy and they're silly and they like snort when they laugh, and they have like a food thing hanging out their face. So it's not like, ooh, Instagram, it's like, oh, it's not just like presentation. It's not just like, that's your brand. That's not just like this and that. And I'm speaking at this from my own angle of it, of course, and that's why I invite your own introspection around like what the heck human connection is. But when we're going into 2024, you're going to start to see that a lot of people are going to not care so much about this like big presentation. They're going to be more interested in authentic communication. And of course, I get it, like authenticity, blah blah blah. What the hell does that mean too? Like genuine, but that is it. You're going to start to redefine what it is to be authentic, and what it is to be genuine, what it is to be a friend. Honestly, like, yeah, I retract, I say what I said about human connection, but then I also add like friends. Like I just want to have friends. I define that as like friendships that are just so natural, that are not transactional, that is just from a place of like love and simplicity, and just the fact that we're all, mostly experiencing the this for the first time, right? We're humans here experiencing this for the first time. And I think there's a little bit of softness that is required from all of us when we interact with people, and when we argue with people, and when we respond to people. I don't think that it's going to separate you from having your own boundaries and needs. It's not like everybody's a friend and everybody's a dear friend, of course not. But you understand what I'm saying, this need for human connection. So whether it is like you learn a way to, a different way to socialize, or you start to initiate things that are more like connectivity, that encourage people to share in a different way, or you explore like a different layer of your friendship, or right, like there's so many variations about what human connection is. And that is kind of the angle that we're going into 2024. This like very presented person is like great for marketing, but we've gone too far on that end. Like there is marketing, but then also it's like just be a person, like learn to be a person that isn't like always overthinking, how to do, and like being almost manipulative in your transactional relationships. Like in your transactions, it feels transactional because like you're wanting something, or you're like trying to network, or you're trying to do this. That authenticity is just like, that's just who I am. Like I want to give you a compliment, and I want to like really enjoy this music, and I want to cry, and I don't want you to like judge me and like say like, what is that, like just let me, and you know that. And I hope that in your life you have been able to experience somebody in your life who, allowed you to feel that, or gave you, some glimmer of that, or perhaps you have somebody who like deeply allows you to be in that connection with the person. Yeah. So, I wrap that up by saying this human connection is going to amplify into 2025. Like no spoilers here, but like like it's going to amplify going into that. But 2024 is going to really, you're going to start to see a lot more catalyst of people initiating connection from a more genuine, authentic way that is a little bit offline, that is a little bit more heart-to-heart base, and a little bit more grounded than it has been. So dissociation styles served us in a time and a place. Thank you very much. But now we're coming back into ground and saying like, what about a hug? What about saying I love you? What about just friendships and seeing people for just like the little babies that they are? Yeah. All right, friends. Just remember, the world is your playground. And until next time, I will catch you soon.